In this lesson, we're going to talk about implicitly typed local variables using the var keyword. So whenever you're working with local variables, variables that you define inside of the scope of a method, you actually don't have to give the compiler the data type like we've been doing all along. The compiler is smart enough to figure out the data type for you based on the value that the variable is initialized to. So, whenever you use the var keyword instead of the given data type for a new instance of a variable, or a reference variable, like that'll hold the reference to like the car class, a new instance of the car class, for example, you're defining the data type of the variable implicitly when you use the var keyword. So in other words, take a look at these examples on screen. You have int hit points equals 0. If you set it equal to 0, chances are you're going to want to work with the int data type. The compiler knows that, so it's roughly equivalent to this. Var hit points equals 0. Another example, string hero name equals Pentagon. All right, because you used a string, you initialized hero name to a string, the compiler is smart enough to know that, so you don't have to give it the type name string. You can just say var string, or I'm sorry, var hero name equals Pentagon, all right? And so look at this more complex example here at the top. So for example, you can see that we have a collection initializer creating a new list of cars and then several new car instances. Instead of doing all this, I can do that. And the compiler is smart enough to know that I'm creating a new instance of the generic collection list of car. Okay? And basically when I say that these are roughly equivalent, I mean that at compilation time, the compiler will interpolate the data type from the data type that the variable is initialized to, and then the intermediate language that's generated from the compiler will actually reference the actual type. It'll figure it out, it'll write that type out for you, you don't have to worry about it. So there's a couple of caveats to this. So for example, the first one is that you have to initialize a keyword defined with var. So let's do this. Var hero name. We get a red squiggly line. If we hover over it, says implicitly typed local variables must be initialized. The compiler would say, okay, I'm willing to determine the data type for you automatically, but you didn't give me any clues to work with here. So that's why we would have to do something like that, right? And then the compiler would be happy, right? Oh, it's happy, it's just we haven't used this again, so very good. All right, so that's the first rule. The second rule is that the variable is now permanently set to that data type. It can't be changed to some data type in the future, no more so than any given variable can change its data type down the road. So for example, if we were to do this, string my name equals Bob, right? And then we said, let's set my name equal to 34.5, and I'll put a D after it to make sure it's a decimal. I'm going to get a error because you can't now change name to a different data type. It's still a string, right? Well, the same holds true if I were to use the var keyword instead. Nothing changes. It knows that it can't implicitly convert the type double to a string. Why not? Because my name is a string. We've determined that because whenever we create the my name variable, the compiler looks at the data type of the value we're initializing the variable to and says, oh, you're a string. From now on, you'll always be a string, and strings can't accept doubles. So there you go. Those are the two rules that you got to abide by. Now, admittedly, in these pithy little examples that I've demonstrated here, it makes little sense. Why would you ever want to use the var keyword? I don't get it. What's the importance, the significance of it? Right. As your code becomes more complex, especially as we introduce link in that upcoming series, the var keyword will become increasingly important because sometimes it's difficult to determine the data type ahead of time, or the data type is unknown, or the data type will be generated automatically at runtime. What does all that mean? Don't worry about it for now. We'll get to all that. It sounds crazy, but I'll talk about why those things could happen in that link series. All right, so the var keyword, just keep in mind if you see this in other people's code or in code examples, it's implicitly typed local variables. It can only happen within a local method's body. You can't do this for like a public property, for example. And it will basically interpolate the data type based on whatever you initialize your variable to. Okay, so that's the var keyword. Thank you.